I met Justin Trudeau for the first time recently, and he happens to be a really very nice guy indeed. Most politicians are okay, frankly, a little guarded, sometimes bright, often not. But I have to say that Trudeau does seem a decent fellow, very approachable, even somewhat, I suppose, naive, unworldly, in the best sense, I suppose. He could contribute an enormous amount to this country, no doubt of that. But please, Justin, please, not as a politician, not as Liberal leader, and God forbid, not as Prime Minister. Now, shortly, we will discuss yet another wrong and poor decision on Justin Trudeau's part, where he has agreed to speak at a conference, on a platform, an Islamic conference, where other speakers have some repugnant and jihadist opinions. Look, I doubt that Justin really knew about all of this, but did his people? And who chose those people in the first place? Look, with all due respect, you're the pampered prince of politics and the Canadian Dauphin, and you're now too prominent for us to ignore this and simply forgive what you say and what you are. Not long ago, Justin told a French radio station that if Canada dared to stop killing babies and decided that marriage was the union of one man and one woman, he would support an independent Quebec. Then there were the crass anti-Albertan remarks recently followed when exposed both occasions by grovelling apologies. It goes on and on and on, doesn't it? You say one thing and you put your well-heeled foot in, I'm sorry, dumb, large mouth, then pretend you didn't say it or didn't mean to say it, didn't want it to be taken that way, and on and on. Worse than these comments is when Trudeau said that honour killings were not barbaric.
The use of a word as pejorative as barbaric has more of an opportunity to set someone's hackles up.
Are you serious? I mean, for goodness sake, go and say that over the graves of the Shafir family. Look, we know the story and we've all met people like him in the past. Daddy was famous, Mummy was famous, the latter in a rather sad way, I have to say. Daddy was also a privileged playboy who thought Nazism might be fun and then decided that Canada was not enough of a party for him, so he tried to ruin it, didn't he? Little Justin, pampered prince, has only known privilege. Okay, fine, good for him and all that, but he was a drama teacher for a couple of years. He tried to turn his father's funeral, with all due respect, into a one-act play for his own career, and then because of his name, he became an MP. You really doubt me? I mean, do you seriously believe that if his name was Jones, Goldstein, Kelly or Lemieux, he would have won his seat? It is applied nepotism, and it decays and denigrates the Canadian political system. And now the little boy who wears jeans to the House of Commons because he thinks it brave and daring, man, rude and disrespectful to other people, called Peter Kent a decent guy, a minister, a piece of shit. The Speaker of the House should have thrown him out after that, as should have the Liberal caucus. But Bob Rae was so desperate and so emasculated and so archaic that he was terrified of doing it. MPs have been reprimanded for calling other members bullies, but for describing them as excrement. It's not the word itself, it's the lack of grace and the lack of wit. It's the arrogance, it's the sheer sense of entitlement and the nastiness. Just like the old fraud who was his dad, the boy Justin believes the world owes him a living that he can abuse and insult at will. Well, unlike his dad, Justin is no intellectual. Whatever you think of Pierre Trudeau, he wasn't a fool. Justin, however, look, he can fill a room. He's pretty loud as well, and he will doubtless walk the Liberal leadership race. Then the country responds. It will be a seminal moment, and frankly, it could be a disastrous one. So my next book, by the way, is the Justin Trudeau collection of apologies, and we may have to run into 2 volumes. Tarek Fatah, author, activist, courageous person, and a very interesting shirt, rather Christmassy.
Yes, it is.
I like that. Good. You say Merry Christmas, don't you?
Of course I do.
None of this Happy Holidays crap.
No, I just walk all over Happy Holidays.
Good man, good man. Yeah. Now, reviving the Islamic spirit. Who knew it had to be revived?
It needs to be, but not by these jokers.
That's right. Conference in December, just to coincide with Christmas. And there's all sorts of people here, including Justin Trudeau. Now, some of them are very interesting people, but quite a few have, even if vicariously, jihadist connections, don't they?
Let's put it this way. Not one of the speakers that will come here will be opposed to the Egyptian constitution that is being thrust down the throat.
Really?
Not one.
You can say that with complete confidence?
Absolutely. Not one of them will oppose the Muslim Brotherhood. And it's come down to a stage where now, to discuss it with the liberal press that seems to support all these guys, you have to ask a simple question. Is what's happening in Egypt acceptable? That's a threshold. If you accept this Marshal Mussolini who's pushing down a constitution in a matter of 18 hours, then these are the guys who support him.
Well, they're almost all Islamic scholars.
And that's the problem. These are the people, it's the scholars that have ossified.
Well, sort of scholars.
Well, they claim to be, they dress up in...
They do. Karen Armstrong is there. Karen Armstrong is a failed nun who, I first met her, she would never remember this, but this was a private screening of a film about David Ben-Gurion, heavily Zionistic film, and she was there praising it. I think she may have changed her views on this a little bit, but now she goes around at conferences like this. Also, John Rawson Saul, the wife of Adrian Clarkson, I was only kidding, but I mean, this figure...
But these are useful idiots.
Well, he is.
No, Karen Armstrong doesn't know that she's being used. Her book on Jerusalem, by the way, should be quite upsetting to most of the speakers over here.
Yes, but Sebag Montefiore's book on Jerusalem is far, far better, but she's not a fool. John Rawson Saul, when I say the wife of Adrian Clarkson, I'm sorry, but I'll say it again because he seems such an emasculated figure when he would go around with her. But he's a fairly intelligent man. But he's really bought the whole thing.
Intelligence is not what is required in a war. Courage and clarity is what is required. In this case, the people who hate Canadian society or Canada, which is the crystallization of Western civilization, have utter contempt for it, have the audacity to come here and tell about 20,000 young, born in Canada Muslims, mostly of Pakistani Indian origin, to come over there and in a very subtle, smart way say, this is not where you belong.
Right. And those 20,000 people have votes, and he wasn't on the original list, but now Justin Trudeau is going to speak there. Justin Trudeau, who said he's prepared to leave this country if we question abortion and same-sex marriage, which, believe me, is absolutely and fundamentally questioned by it's not about same-sex marriage, it's the right of a gay person to actually be allowed to live. But he will stand there and speak. Now, will he say to them, you must change your views on this, you must embrace pluralism? You know he won't.
No,
He'll say effectively, vote for me.
You know, he is just in. I mean, in terms that he is pretty boy coming into politics who has no concept of the division within the Muslim world. The president of the Muslim Canadian Congress yesterday told me that despite the fact that she's opposing this, a colleague of Justin approached her saying, oh, Justin Trudeau is coming to address you people.
Oh, good. The racism of that bloody statement.
Now, for the point being that in the eyes of Justin Trudeau, all Muslims look alike. They're like a flock of sheep. They will come there. He has to cater to it. Look at his attitude in condescending way of patronizing the Muslim community. He goes to Windsor. No, he doesn't go there. He goes there by Skype to inaugurate his campaign. Guess where he announces it? In the Rose Islamic Center of Windsor. Now, somehow people have, in the liberal class, especially the illiterate liberal class, have started believing that if you are with the radical Muslim jihadis and the mosque establishment, you are on the cutting edge of revolutionary politics. This is buying revolution off the shelf at Kmart. This is not some thought-out process saying that these are African Americans, I have to stand by them in the civil rights movement. No, this is pedestrian liberalism that simply associates with any radical group because they don't study enough. I'm not saying the guy has bad intentions. I'm just not saying he's acting in bad faith. He's just not fit to be the Prime Minister of this country.
I don't think he would even know. Now, maybe I'm giving him too much credit or too little credit, but I don't think he's a bad person. And I think he probably assumes this is a group of new Canadians and he wants to appeal to them. If you said to him, this does not represent all of Canadian Islam. This is a radical aspect of it. Many of these views...
He might not go.
He might not go. But his people are telling him, look, they're not going to vote Conservative.
There's no
you
way.
can get them. It's between you and Mulcair for these votes.
Michael, there is no way someone like me could even meet with him.
I know.
That's what has happened in this. There are many good people in the Liberal Party, in the NDP, in the Conservatives, but because they are bullied into silence, they can't speak out against the fascism that is inside Canada and is best reflected in what's happening in
Well, thank
Egypt.
goodness you are doing it. In spite of the shirt, pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.